My glasses, but I might have to look.
Hello, everyone. My name is Matt Rednauer, and I'm the co-chair for the sponsorship committee with Great River Human Resources. And today I have the privilege of speaking with Lauri Flanagan, who is the president of Management Resource Group and also current board member of Great River Human Resources. How are you doing today, Lauri?
I am great. I'm great. The sun is shining. What more can we ask for, right?
Can't complain about that. So Lauri, and for those of you who are listening, we'll be putting on GRHRA's Ignite HR Hotseat, which provides an opportunity to learn more about leaders amongst our board, as well as members and some of our sponsors. So Lauri, are you ready to participate in the hot seat today?
I'm ready.
All right. So Lauri, the first question I have for you, who has been your most important professional mentor, and how did they positively make an impact on your career?
Okay, that's a really good question for me because I believe that there are some professionals who have the privilege of having mentors in their lives. And so mine was actually my second HR job. I would say my first real boss or manager. His name is Mark Fryer. He's retired today, but back at that time, he caught me at a time when I was ready for anything, right? And he gave me the exposure to anything I needed and encouraged me and taught me along the way. When I talk about him, I say, he's the guy that taught me everything I know. And he laughs because that was a long time ago, that it was at the beginning of my career. But I say he taught me everything I needed to know at the time, because as most good leaders, he was preparing me to take his place when he left, which eventually did happen. So
yeah, it's always amazing reflecting back on our mentors and what they teach us, but then they teach us to then also teach ourselves as we move along in our career. So
exactly right.
So
exactly.
Next question I have for you, Lauri. What is your favorite productivity hack, and what advice would you have for someone who's looking to become more productive during their working hours?
I think, amazingly enough, I think there's a lot of distractions at work today. Well, just a lot of distractions in our life. The best thing that I have done is I now use a timekeeping app, which is good for me because I'm a consultant and I need to be able to section out my work, as a portion of that. I don't always do things by the hour, but a lot of times it's just for me, like, how did I spend my time that week? So there are things that I keep track of that I actually use for invoicing purposes. And then there are things that I keep track of that are just for my knowledge. How did I spend my time on this day? So I would suggest, if you have a hard time keeping or just keeping focused, once the timer is running, you can't deviate, right? I mean, you can turn it off, but but it forces you to document what you're doing, which takes very little time, and then it also gives you the option of keeping track of your time. And then at the end of the week, it gives you a report. This is what you spent your time on. There's more complex apps that can also incorporate invoicing in it. I don't necessarily use that an app like that, but just knowing what I keep my time on keeps my attention, knowing, okay, the timer's running, don't divert or what have you. So I think that's been super helpful for me. Again, just because the consulting aspect, just knowing where I spend my time is important. So I think that could be helpful to anyone.
I'll have to certainly check that out. I've just always blocked the repetitive. So this defined period in the day, I'm doing this, and then I'm doing that. And then at the end of the day, I'm like, wow, look at all the things that I've done. So
apparently you're good at that without a timer. Some of us are not.
Yeah. So last question I have for you, Lauri. And I know that you read quite frequently, as well as do I, but what are 3 books you'd recommend to someone who is planning on a career in management or leadership?
And that's a good question, because you're right. I do often read things like that. And one of my favorite books is The First 90 Days. I like that one because in any role, so whether you're in the corporate world, you have your own business and you're in front of clients, and Matt, I think you can relate to this, or you're working on a new project, your first 90 days are really important. You're right. You're trying to capture trust. You're trying to do some quick wins to show that you can be effective in promoting change and working on the goals that you have set forward. As a consultant, every client is the first 90 days. Every project is the first 90 days. So I feel like it's particularly applicable. And I kind of go back and look at some of the quotes from that frequently. The second book, and this might sound odd, but 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. I like that one because it really talks about the things that people are afraid of, like conflict and transparency and just lack of commitment towards things. Just it helps me remind me of putting others in, trying to be in their shoes, because the piece is, as a consultant, I'm asking people to be pretty transparent with me of what's happening in their organization in order to solve a problem. And while I try to be engaging, you also have to understand, what are they feeling, right? And I think that's true for any new relationship. You have those things that you have to work through. And as a consultant and as a business person, you have to go through it quickly, right, Matt? Like you have to get down to the bottom of it. So that's one of my favorite ones too.
Within the first 90 days, right? Within the first 90
and then first 90 days, you got to do all this. Right. And the other one is really, it's a handbook. I don't even know if it's in print anymore, but I use it frequently. It's the name of it is Successful Manager's Handbook. And it is a handbook, but it's big. And but it's for like first-time managers, like as part of the directive of the books, it's like, keep it on your desk because you're going to use this. Well, okay. I kind of do. I keep it on my shelf back there. But what it's good for me, because I do executive coaching, is most of that coaching is really about those interpersonal, actions and managing people. And so it gives me ideas. So I go back and I look at it frequently. So it's something that is a little, maybe not on top of my desk, but it's on the shelf. So, yep.
So
Those are my 3.
That's excellent. And there's a whole lot more than that. These are just the top 3 that came to mind there. So Lauri, I want to thank you for participating today in our hot seat. Hopefully the questions weren't too hot. But for those of you who are listening, again, Lauri is active on our board and has been for several years. And if you're interested in learning about Lauri or GRHRA and like to attend a future event, we're open arms and would welcome you to any of our future events. And if you want to check out anything that's coming up, please go to www.grhra.org. And so Lauri, thank you again. And I hope you have a wonderful afternoon.
You're very welcome. You do the same.
Thanks. Lauri.